Have you noticed your toddler struggling with focus or acting out in frustration more than other kids? It's hard to connect the dots sometimes, but what if the foundation for these behaviours was laid before they were even born? Today, I want to look at how the choices we make during pregnancy, specifically cannabis use, could shape behaviours like aggression and attention struggles. Now, if you're sitting there panicking that you've messed up your child forever because you smoked weed or took CBD when you were pregnant, please don't. It's never too late to make changes and support your child's development going forward. This isn't about pointing fingers or making anyone feel guilty. It's about understanding the science so you can feel confident and empowered. There's a lot we can do, and I'll share those tips with you as we go. Let's start with a quick look at how behaviour starts in the brain. One of the most important areas for things like focus, self-control, and decision-making is the frontal lobe. Think of it as the brain's control centre. It's what helps kids manage their emotions, wait their turn, and plan their next steps. During pregnancy, the frontal lobe and the rest of the brain is going through rapid development, but it's also highly sensitive to outside influences. That means anything affecting the mother's body, like stress, nutrition, or substances, can potentially shape how this part of the brain develops. Now, here's where cannabis comes in. Research shows that exposure to cannabis during pregnancy can disrupt the way the frontal lobe develops. This can lead to challenges with attention, impulse control, and emotional regulation, even as early as preschool. These aren't just abstract findings, they're behaviours that show up in everyday life, and we'll talk about that in just a minute. So how do these brain changes show up? Well, let's talk about a few behaviours parents might notice and what the latest research tells us. First, there's aggression. You might see your child acting out physically, like hitting, throwing objects, or even pushing others when they're feeling frustrated. Then there's impulsivity. This might look like grabbing something they want without asking, or struggling to wait for their turn during games or group activities. And of course, attention deficits. If your child seems to bounce from one activity to the next, or has a hard time focusing on tasks for a long period, this could be another sign. These behaviours aren't random. They're connected to how the brain's control centre, the frontal lobe, develops. A new study published in the JAMA at the end of 2024 took a closer look at how cannabis exposure in pregnancy impacts those behaviours in childhood. Researchers found that by age 5, children exposed to cannabis had poorer inhibitory control, meaning they had a harder time managing their impulses, and showed more aggressive behaviour during observational assessments. This builds on what earlier studies suggested. For example, a 2022 study looked at cannabis exposure and mental health issues during adolescence, linking it to long-term vulnerabilities like social and conduct problems. The latest findings are showing us that these challenges can start much earlier, even in preschool, and they're often tied to disruptions in attention, planning, and emotional regulation. If this sounds familiar, don't panic. We're going to look at what these findings mean, and most importantly, what steps you can take to support your child moving forward. I think it's useful at this point to talk about why cannabis is even used in pregnancy. It's certainly on the rise. Over the past 2 decades, prenatal cannabis use in the US has shown a significant increase. In some states, like California, usage jumped by 73% in less than 10 years, with approximately 1 in 20 pregnant women reporting cannabis use. In 2020, national data indicated that 16% of women in their first trimester, 4.2% in their second trimester, and 4.7% in their third trimester reported using cannabis. So why is this happening? One big reason is symptom management. Pregnancy often comes with nausea, vomiting, sleep problems, and pain. Cannabis is frequently marketed as a natural remedy for these symptoms, and many parents see it as a safer alternative to pharmaceuticals. Legalization also plays a huge role. With cannabis becoming more widely available and normalized in society, its use during pregnancy has followed the trend. Studies show that in areas where recreational cannabis is legal, prenatal use is noticeably higher. Then there's the perception of safety. Some people believe that because cannabis is plant-based, it must be less harmful than prescription drugs. But this belief often overlooks what science is telling us about its impact on fetal development. For others, pre-existing chronic conditions like anxiety, insomnia, or pain persist into pregnancy, and cannabis becomes a way to cope. As for how it's consumed, smoking is still the most common method. But it also carries additional risks, like exposing the fetus to harmful combustion byproducts and reducing oxygen supply. Some parents opt for edibles or vaping, thinking they're safer alternatives, but they still expose the fetus to THC, the psychoactive compound in cannabis, which crosses the placenta. Even CBD, which doesn't cause a high, isn't considered safe during pregnancy due to a lack of regulation and contamination risks. While smoking is considered the riskiest due to the additional effects of smoke inhalation, the reality is that all forms of cannabis can affect fetal development, and medical professionals advise against its use during pregnancy. If you've used cannabis during your pregnancy or are considering using it, this video isn't about judgment. It's about understanding the risks and giving you the information you need to make choices that feel right for you and your family. So you might be sitting there slightly panicking, wondering if your choices during pregnancy have set your child on an unchangeable path. Let me reassure you, it's not too late, and there's so much you can do to help your child thrive. This is exactly the kind of support I give in my Empowered Parent Blueprint community. It's where I help parents like you navigate challenges, understand their child's behaviour, and build a calmer, more connected home. I'll leave details in the description, but for now, let's go through some strategies you can start using today. Focus on structure and routine. Kids thrive when they know what to expect. A predictable daily schedule like set meal times, bedtime routines, and consistent transitions can help them feel more secure and manage their impulses better. Next, use positive reinforcement. Celebrate the small wins. If your child shares a toy or manages to stay calm during a frustrating moment, let them know you've noticed and are proud of them. These moments can build confidence and encourage better behaviour over time. Another key strategy is modelling and building connection. Kids learn so much from watching how we handle frustration or solve problems. By staying calm and showing empathy, you're teaching them how to manage their own emotions. And don't underestimate the power of quality time. Small, intentional moments of connection can go a long way in helping your child feel secure and understood. If these behaviours are more persistent or severe, don't hesitate to seek professional support. A paediatrician, child psychologist, or developmental specialist can provide personalised strategies to help your child navigate these challenges. And here's the most important part. Don't lose hope. Even if your child is struggling now, remember that the brain is incredibly adaptable, especially in early childhood. With the right support, kids can develop new skills and overcome many of these challenges. If this resonated with you, I'd highly recommend watching this video. I talk about how understanding your own experiences can help you create a healthier, more connected relationship with your child. And if you found this video helpful, make sure to check out my other videos on supporting child development. See you next time.